Hello, this is Kathy Beatty with Divorce Support Anonymous, and it is Friday night, and I am stepping into your life for just a few moments to give you some help, some tools, some tips, some techniques to go through the trauma of divorce before the divorce, during the divorce, and after the divorce. So last week I spoke to you about finances and giving you some helpful tips and some tools. And so I wanted to invite someone to join us who is works in the financial world quite a bit. His name is Peter Letzmann. Good evening, Peter.
Hello, Kathy. Thank you for inviting me. It's a pleasure to be with you.
It's great to have you here. Peter is a very distinguished attorney, and he is also a mediator, and he does a lot of mediations. He's probably done thousands. I've done hundreds, but he's done thousands, and he is an expert in many areas, one of them being finances. So he teaches the Dave Ramsey courses. So, what got you into the Dave Ramsey course, Peter?
I hate to admit this, Kathy, but my divorce got me
Oh.
into that. When I was divorced, my finances were just helter-skelter. I mean, they were shambles, and I needed to get control of what I was doing financially. I was drowning,
Mhm.
and somehow, some way, I stumbled onto the course. I took the course, and I have to report to you that I'm successful. I'm debt free. My house is paid for. My car
Mhm.
is paid for, um, and I just don't have any debts.
Mm.
And that's the aftermath of my divorce. But it took me some years to do that. It didn't
Mhm.
happen overnight.
Mhm. And you know what I appreciate about that story, thank you for sharing, Peter, is you were someone who had money. It's not, I mean, you were established, you were a successful attorney, but divorce can do that, does that to all of us. It doesn't matter our income, our status level. Divorce is devastating in so many areas, particularly in finances.
Indeed, I have to report to you, Kathy. And as an attorney, I knew this stuff. I knew what the things I should do and shouldn't do, but I needed that swift kick to get me doing those things.
Mhm.
And much of this stuff we're going to talk about today, most of you know it already. It's what I'm going to try and do is motivate you to do what you should do.
Yeah. There's a big difference in that, isn't there? And knowing
It,
it and doing it.
Absolutely. Actions speak louder than words.
They do indeed. Okay, we've got 10 points. And where do we get these 10 points from, Peter?
Okay, these I have what borrowed from Mr. Ramsey. If you read his material, you will see these are some of the points that he makes, and it's a quick checklist. We're going to be covering the tips of the forest.
Mhm.
So maybe come back if you don't make notes today. Come back and look at the video one more time so
Mhm.
that you make sure you cover all 10 of the points.
Yeah, that's one of the beautiful advantages of having a recording is you can come back to it. So, all right, let's start up with tip number 1. Set up a budget, find a system that works for you. Many people are like, don't tell me to set up a budget. I am so frazzled because I don't have any money. How can I set up a budget?"
All right, if you're afraid of the budget, call it a cash flow plan.
Oh.
So if you know the B word, you want to avoid that. But whatever system works for you, make sure that on one side of the ledger you have every nickel that comes into the household for spending. That whether it's from salary, your paycheck, your investments,
Mhm.
have a complete inventory of what comes in. And most budgets are done monthly. You can do a weekly budget. I wouldn't go up further than a month, but
Mhm.
maybe a 2 week budget, depending upon where your paycheck is. Find the system that works for you. But on one side, all the income, every nickel. On the other side, all the outgo or all the spending, and make sure you cover all of the spending and that means the Starbucks and every nickel that you spend, because you're
Mhm,
going to have to control your money.
mhm,
Only if you know where the money is coming from and where it's going will you have control of the finances.
mhm.
Now, this works. I mean, this is a must not only if you're divorced, but for everybody who's got to do that. So
Yeah.
you'll probably do a budget for. I don't want to say the rest of your life, but you're going to
Mhm,
budget your money. You're going to control your money if you want to get out of debt, accumulate wealth, get a house, all of those other
yeah.
things. So
So
have a budget.
let me ask, how do I get started with a budget? You just told me to have those two columns, but even that, for some people going through the trauma of divorce, is like I just don't know where to start.
There are a couple things that you pay your bills with checks or with credit cards or so on. Take a look at your last month's statement of your checks. What checks have you written? What
Mhm,
things you've bought with your credit card or or your debit card. Those
mhm,
are the quick way of doing that. And then, of course, you get the bills in the mail or on the internet. You can start
mhm,
logging the bills, and
mhm.
you know that the big categories that you have, housing, food, and so on.
Right, right.
And let me just suggest to you, you don't have to invent the wheel. There are a bazillion budget forms on the internet. Go
Mhm.
take a look at Ramsey has some. They're just a whole bunch of them.
Yeah.
Take one that works for you. Make sure you have
Mhm,
income,
mhm,
outgo,
mhm. And it
and
doesn't matter how simplistic it is. Whatever works for you, that's what's important, right?
and you have to make sure that you account for every nickel, so
Mhm,
that at the you you have, let's say, $5,000 coming in. Show
mhm.
me where you spend your $5,000
Okay, good.
so
Okay.
that it's a total balance.
Mhm. Boy, that's hard, especially when you have like teenagers, because there's so many unpredictable costs that you can't budget for.
Well, and you're going to have to budget for those. And those kind of things like birthdays, gifts,
Mhm.
um, school trips, the photographs at school, um, and you may want to have a fund, just say unallocated school spending,
Yeah.
so that you have this, I don't want to call it a miscellaneous fund, but have it school expenses, unallocated school expenses. Put in a
Mhm.
$20 or $50 or
Sure.
whatever is appropriate for it. And one of the things is I have daughters, and one of the things I didn't budget for when they were in college were health and beauty aids.
Mhm.
And you know what
Yeah.
that did to my budget.
Yes, yes, for sure. And you're not going to do it perfectly. And so don't beat yourself up if you don't, but you've got to start somewhere. Okay, point number two.
Before we leave, it's going to take you at least 3 cycles to 3 months cycles to perfect the budget. So, like you say, don't
Okay.
beat yourself up.
Oh,
Okay.
I like that. I like that. I do think that if you did it a week or 2 weeks at the most to have a tighter control over it, do you think that that's better?
At this point, yes, it is.
Yeah.
And I would kind of have the cycle with, if you're employed and you have a paycheck, if it's every 2 weeks, every 15 days, twice a month, or so on, have that budget coincide with that. I think that might make it simpler, even though that most of the people do the monthly budget because the bills come in on a monthly
Yeah.
basis.
Yeah.
If you do the 2 week, you're going to have to divide the bills in half.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Emergency fund.
Yes, talk to us about it. And let's look at it as an angle of like, I'm barely making ends meet. How can I set up an emergency fund?
An emergency fund is a must, because disaster will strike.
Mm,
It's going to rain, disaster will strike. It's just sure as shooting. And you want to have at least an umbrella of some sort to cover the rain.
yeah.
Think about the water heater is going to go,
Mhm.
There's, you
Oh,
know,
yeah. There's multiple examples.
and especially if you have children, here's,
Mhm.
and remember, emergency fund is something that's unexpected and it's necessary and it's imminent, or
Okay.
it has to be taken care of. So think about it: unexpected, necessary, and it's critical, imminent now.
It's not a
And
it's not a new pair of shoes.
not only is it not a new pair of shoes, it's not a Starbucks, it's not pizza on Saturday night or so on. You can't have, emergency fund is not a what can I say, a be sorry for myself moment, and I'm going to go for
Okay.
a weekend to
Yeah.
Acapulco or so on. That's
Uh,
not an emergency, and it's not a big fund. Just $1,000 would be enough because
mhm,
that covers the alternator, it covers a new tire.
mhm.
Those are the emergencies that you
Okay.
you you may have.
But you cannot fund a pity party with it. Okay. Got it. What about debt? Oh,
That
a lot of debt. And I know
it's,
you and I both know in mediation, so many times we are splitting debt as much, if not more, than assets.
if you just think about it, the typical credit card debt is somewhere over 20%.
Yeah.
So uh,
You mean the interest
you're
rate, 20%?
well, it's as high as 29%, and
Okay.
then there are penalties and fees and
Yeah.
so on. And you know what the debts are. You're going to have to work on the debts. In the divorce, you're going to split the debts.
Yeah.
As you split the assets, you're going to have half of the credit card debts. You're going to
Mhm.
have half of the HELOC loan, the home equity loan,
Right, right. Yeah. That you will
and
have
so
to
on.
split.
And you're going to have to start attacking those.
Mhm.
Otherwise, you're going to be underwater. You're going to find yourself in bankruptcy court.
Right, right.
And do the Ramsey snowball, where you
Okay.
pay off the
Explain that for us.
smallest debt first, pay the minimum payments to all of the debts so you don't get penalized, but you're still accumulating interest. But then pay off the smallest one first with whatever asset. Don't invest in your investments. Don't save. Just get rid of the debts as quickly as you possibly can, and take a look at a sheet that they have. List your debts, smallest to largest, and then strike out that smallest debt and
Mhm,
strike out the
mhm.
second smallest debt and
Now,
put it on.
Why do we do that psychologically? Why do we do that?
Because if you do it otherwise, not going to be successful. They have found out the 20 years of studies have found that the snowball debt works. The other way, if the sophisticated finance person says, well, pay the one with the highest interest rate first.
Mhm,
Well, if you were sophisticated and a mathematician, you wouldn't be in this debt situation. So at least follow the simple formula,
mhm,
and the the statistics shows us even if you follow the snowball formula, you pay off the debts within a month or two
mhm.
of the other way of doing it.
Yeah,
So
it's empowering for people when they
absolutely,
mark it off.
absolutely.
Got it.
Success breeds success.
Yes.
Okay. And if
Yeah.
you need more explanation, you do a little bit of reading. Go back to the internet, and
Mhm.
there are many places that explain the snowball. Many people are using that because it is successful. So if
Yeah.
you have that, work the snowball.
It empowers you. Okay. What about a full emergency fund? You
For
talked to us about an emergency fund. What's a full emergency
a
fund?
full emergency fund is about 3 to 6 months uh, of needed money to survive, and
Mm,
that does not include entertainment or so on. What
mhm,
is the actual that you need? You got to have your lodging, you got to have your food, you got to pay your insurance, you got to pay your utilities, and those absolute insurances,
mhm.
items that you have 3 to 6 months, because if you're unemployed, if something happens, and those of us who are old enough who have suffered through 2008 during that sort of recession, jobs were hard to find, and
Mhm.
especially now. So have your full emergency fund before you start saving, before you. So
Mhm.
that's the fourth item that you have to concentrate on.
And again, don't be overwhelmed by this. Just be aware of it and start. Maybe if it's $5, just something to start this process. Don't, because we've got 10 things here and it's going to overwhelm you and you're going to like, I'm broke. I've got to pay off the attorneys. I don't even know where to begin. Don't look too far down the road. Just start thinking, okay, $2, $5. I can put that and start an emergency fund and just forget about it until I need it and I can watch it grow as I continue to uh, contribute small amounts into it.
If you manage your budget, you will see that there's a place for a full emergency fund, and you will put that in your budget. Depending upon where you're spending much, you
Mhm,
might be able to put a lot in there, might be a little bit, somewhere between a little and a lot, but make sure you are working on that emergency
mhm,
fund.
mhm. And it's so empowering when we can do that because there's this saying that I use a lot when I'm working with folks is until you control your finances, you cannot control your life. It's such a vital part of it. So hopefully these tips are going to be of help. Number 5, investing. Okay, for those who are barely surviving, investing sounds like a foreign word.
Okay.
Talk to us.
Make it very simple. You should invest 15% of your net income.
Okay.
Okay. And
Uh,
and investing for right now, just put it in savings.
mhm,
And just once you get your emergency fund, start, uh, your 15%. You
mhm,
also have to think about college fund. Are you going to uh, pay for your children's college? Are you going to set aside some money?
mhm,
Remember, part of your investing, of course, is your retirement, because
mhm,
you are investing for your retirement. And make sure that you understand your kids may end up not going to college.
mhm.
I will guarantee you, you will retire.
Lord willing. Yeah.
Well, so think
Yeah.
about it, that the retirement money has priority, or is, we love our kids,
Mhm,
but we put our retirement as a priority over the college fund. And I
mhm,
might mention to you, there's a lot of money out there that people don't take advantage of. For example, community college, while your kids are in high school, they can take community college classes literally for free.
mhm,
I know that there are students who have graduated from high school with a two-year degree, and
right.
then they transfer to a full-time college. They accept the undergrad the 2 years, and
Yeah.
they have literally saved 50% of their college funds.
Yeah.
Um, Having taught at a local university, I find that in the student aid office, people don't go there. They're always turning money back that they don't use, they don't allocate to the students. So make sure that if you have a student,
Mhm.
every scholarship, every grant that is available, that they use that.
Yeah. Good. Okay.
And
Let's keep it.
hang on. The third part was pay off your house early. If you
Okay.
can possibly pay that, because if depending upon what your rate of interest is, you may find out that you're paying literally twice the value of your house. Half of it goes to principal, half of it goes to interest. So have
Mhm.
that as a thought, maybe not right during the divorce, but that's got to be on your list of things to do. Pay out your house early. Now
Mhm.
let's hop to number 6.
Okay. And again, when you hear these things, don't get overwhelmed by them. because they can be overwhelming. It's like, I can barely make my house payment now. How could I even think about paying it off early? But there are, again, the snowball of moving slowly and making slow steps in doing that. You're not going to do it all. You're not going to do it in one day or 1 year, but we have to start somewhere, right?
And Kathy, what you have said all over and over again is if you're going through divorce, don't do it by yourself. You have a group of people, you have a confidant, you have somebody to share with. And you have to, I would suggest you have a spending buddy or a money buddy, a trusted person who is aware of what family, not necessarily a high class paid financial advisor, but just
Right.
a practical person who will be objective to tell you no, the trip to
Mhm.
Disneyland is not a necessary thing. They'll be
Right.
honest with you. Now
Right.
let's jump over to wise spending. I think
Mhm.
it's going to be very, very important that you shop for a good deal. You don't have to
Right.
buy everything at retail. There are places that clothing, the resale stores. The one that run into often is the Goodwill store, and
Mhm.
there are such bargains to be had. So
Yeah.
wise spending.
Look
It,
around.
and don't buy the label. I do in my Ramsey class when I teach it. I have 5 different bottles of water. The Avita and all of those, the Fiji and whatever waters they have, and I do a blind testing of that. And you know what comes out most of the time?
Mm.
Either number one or number two is tap water. The
Mhm.
most expensive is people don't like it. They buy the label. So
Mhm.
be wise spending. Think about when you go shop. Don't go shopping before you eat. Go shopping after you eat. And one of the critical
You
things
know,
when you go
that
shopping,
really is true. That really
and
is
when
true.
you go shopping with a list and work
Mm.
off the list. If it's not on the list, don't buy it.
Mm.
And be
Okay,
careful.
you're giving so much discipline here. I can just feel people rebelling, Peter. I can just
Okay.
feel them saying, "No, no, just don't." I can't. I can just feel them freaking out. And again, these are tips to think about. You don't have to do them all at once, but just slow down and stop and think, okay, how can I save money? How can I provide for my kids and provide the things I need without going top dollar? So just think about that. What are some ways that we can do that? So talk to us about insurance.
Yeah. And remember, you can always come back and look at the tape one more time.
Mhm.
Insurance, couple things I want to talk about in insurance. One, make sure you have liability insurance, sufficient liability insurance for your car. That's probably $500,000.
Mhm.
Liability insurance for your home in case somebody slips and falls and so on. And have renters, even if you're renting, have renters insurance. Renters insurance is cheap. So have that. And then the other thing, make sure you have the health insurance, the appropriate health insurance. And then the last insurance I want to talk about is life insurance.
Mm.
If you have children, you have to have life insurance in a sufficient number, a sufficient amount, so that they will be taken care of until they are adults.
Mhm.
And may I just emphasize is buy term life insurance. Don't buy the glitzy other
Okay.
stuff, the investment insurance. The key word is term life insurance. Don't
Okay.
get suckered in on the other insurances.
And I think the one point that is important to make is I know you need to save money, but insurance is not the place to skimp. You need you have to have insurance because if you don't have it and you have a medical emergency, it could wipe you out really for your lifetime. So this is not an area it's an area to shop, but it's not an area to skimp on. You have to have your medical, your car insurance, your home insurance, and your life insurance when you have
Uh,
kids. Yeah.
When you say shop, it's very important. After my divorce, I went out to shop for auto insurance, house insurance. I saved $800 a
Hmm.
year in insurance by shopping.
Yeah. It makes a big difference. Okay, building wealth.
Building wealth. This is where you start investing and having a 401 if you have, and make sure that that 15% that I had talked about previously you're putting into a vehicle that will gain interest for you, not paying out interest, that you are earning interest. And if
Mhm.
you do invest wisely, you should be able to get 10% or more per year. That's sort of the rule, the standard that you have, and there's all sorts of vehicles to do that. Talk to if you want to be sophisticated. This is the time to maybe talk to your financial advisor. The most brokerage companies will give you information on where to invest, and I think right now uh, well, there are other places to invest. There's stocks to invest. You can buy real estate, but that's getting to be more than what we want to talk about. Is just make sure that you have a vehicle in which you are building wealth, and
Which
whatever the vehicle is, just think if you invest in 10%, you will double the value of your investment in 7.2 years.
Mhm.
So, even if you're older, it's not too late to start saving now. And in terms of building wealth, don't let the contribution of your employer to the matching money. That's free money. Make sure you take advantage of that free money as soon as you've got your debts paid off.
So
Go
really,
after that free money.
really what you're saying is have some money that is building, that has interest, that's building interest. That's what you mean by building wealth, right?
Exactly.
Okay. Buying and selling a home. So
The-
this is kind of a, should I rent? Should I buy? What should I do as I'm going through divorce or after the divorce?
yeah. The,
What should,
the, this is maybe a lesson in itself in buying and selling a home. Again, use a broker. You make more money selling a house if you use a broker than if you do it for sale by owner. Make sure that you have your house.
now, now, why is that? Because you're paying the broker. So why
You
is
are
that,
paying the
Peter?
broker, but the broker will be able to you use the multi-list, get more contacts.
Mhm.
If you have for sale by owner, typically it's people who drive by your house,
Okay.
and
Even in,
the broker is going to be more aggressive in getting that. And we found, again, statistically, on average, the increase in the sale price way outweighs, double the brokerage amount or so on.
Mhm.
You make more money by using a broker. I'm
Okay.
not a broker. I don't make any money. I don't have anybody in the family that's a broker. So,
Right.
that's
Yeah.
good.
And
And
then,
and
okay.
stage the house, make it look good, make it look, invest a
Right.
little bit in cleaning it up and so on. And there's, again, lots of information on how to stage and prepare your house for
Mhm.
sale.
Mhm.
Let me tell about buying a house. One of the things is, forgive some of the uglinesses that you might see at first impression. If it's painted the wrong color, for a couple $100, you can repaint the whole house. For $1,000, you can paint the roof and the driveway. So overlook some of those little blemishes and
Mhm.
get a good deal, because you can tell the seller, well, look at this, the carpeting is, I want to have a better price because the carpeting is worn, and so on. So look
Okay.
for a house that is in good shape, basically, and don't worry about the little things.
Let me ask a question. Am I better off? I have just divorced. Am I better off? And we sold the home. Am I better off renting a place or am I better off buying a place after divorce?
Okay, there are two considerations. You have to figure out what you're going to do. Are you going to stay in this area? Are you going to move out of the area?
Mhm.
What is those sort of considerations. But if you're going to stay in the area, um, of course, everybody wants the home, especially if you have children. But
Mhm.
we know that buying a home is maybe about 20%, 25% more expensive than renting. Again, statistically, some areas are different.
Mhm.
And, New York probably renting is more,
Yeah,
it's a
we're
different
not
story.
talking about.
But so, and do you have the or the 20% down for that?
Mhm.
And can you handle a 15-year mortgage? Those are some of the things that you have to consider in buying a home. Again, there's steps that are laid out. You can take a look at
Mhm.
either
Mhm.
Ramsey's book or any of the other Susan Normans that
Yeah,
tell you how
but
to do that.
sometimes people are so disoriented and they don't know what to do. And so sometimes it's a value to rent until you get your head clear and you decide really what you want to do and where you want to go and be.
Yeah, if the children are 18 or 19 years old, I can predict that more than likely they're going to be off to college.
Mm.
They may never come back from college, and so why buy that four-bedroom home that you're not going to need in 2 or 3 years?
But it's
So
also
those are
an emotional decision of you don't know where you're going to go. Yes, that's a practical aspect, but the emotional part, you don't know where you want to go. So sometimes renting for 6 months or so until you get your head clear is a really good
absolutely,
idea. Is a really good
absolutely.
idea. Okay, Ramsey says generosity is number 10.
Well, once you have, even before you finish your and have your fortune and have all of that, you have been blessed, and it's time to share the blessings. And you can do that in small ways.
Mhm.
Many people do the tithing at church, giving to the Salvation Army, or so on. Give of yourself, give of your blessings. And if maybe you can't do 10% now, but get in the habit of giving, even if it's 2% or it's $100 or $20 or so on. Put in the budget gift giving.
Yeah, I love that. Could be helping a neighbor out, buying a neighbor something, just something. Our hearts need to do that. Need to have a generous spirit.
Indeed. So if we've given a lot of information and
Mhm.
a couple things, I just want to make sure that everybody understands that I'm not telling you, or Dave Ramsey hasn't told me that this is his program or so on. I've just borrowed some of his stuff. And just remember, have a clear head, your financial buddy or whatever you want to call it, a person that you can talk to who's be objective, who you can trust, who will be confidential. Have someone like that you can bounce these things, these thoughts off of you, and will make sure you don't hurt yourself financially. That's very important. And don't be afraid to look up. There's a lot of stuff on the internet that you can research if you need more information. And then if you have most families really don't need a paid financial consultant if it's small amounts. But if at some time when you may want to hire an expert to do that.
Mhm.
Uh, and of course, if you have some questions, I'm sure Kathy will be able to stand by and address your questions. And if she can't answer them, I'm sure she can direct you onto where you can find the answer.
Mhm. You have been speaking of generosity, a very generous person and spending this time with us today and running through there. I mean, this is what, a 10-week course with the Ramsey. So we tried to condense it down into 30 minutes, and it doesn't work well. But a lot of information has been given. Hopefully, there's something in here that you can glean from. And of course, I'll use the same verses I used last week. The rich rule over the poor, and the borrower is slave to the lender. What does that mean, Peter?
Well, that's the person to whom you owe money will control your life, and that might be a family member, or it might be a friend too. And be careful about borrowing money from friends and neighbors.
Yeah, for sure. And then another verse, for which of you desiring to build a tower does not first sit down and count the cost, whether he has enough to complete it?
This
So,
is a budget,
yeah,
a plan.
you're right. It is a budget. It is a budget. All right, real quick, set up a budget, emergency fund, watch the debt, have your full 3 to 6 months, have money that's growing a little bit somewhere, spend wisely, do your shopping, do your comparison, have insurance, don't skimp there, make sure you have it, build wealth, having something that's going to be giving interest, adding interest, your home, and generosity. That was a quick trip around all of those points. And I know you spend, Peter, an entire 2 hours on one of these topics, right?
Absolutely. And if you're in the Grand Rapids area, whether you're in the divorce, and even if you're not in the divorce, you can join our class. And we even have a bonus lesson on how to get a better deal, how to negotiate a better deal. And we didn't even discuss that tonight.
So we've got a few minutes left. Give us a few tips. How do you get a better deal?
Well, first of all, you research, know what you're buying and know what the going price is, and what the quality product is, so that you don't just chop the money or the price. Make sure you're getting the quality. And then, of course, you comparison shop. You take a look at whether it's online, whether it's at the store, and the thing in terms of getting a better deal, especially with cars and items like that, don't buy new, buy used, because the depreciation on that. And then, of course, when you do negotiate with whomever you're buying this product from, and it might even be a retail store. I haven't been successful at Myers yet, but at some of the other retail stores, is the word, the price is not good enough. I need a better deal. Do you have a discount in hotels, in just all sorts of places? If you ask them for a discount, whether it's senior citizens, whether it's a Friday discount or whatever, more than likely you can get a discount. And remember, if you don't ask, you're not going to get it. It's not going to hurt you to ask. Is I need a better deal? Is this the best that is available to you?
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Peter. Very helpful. Again, we crunched a lot of information in these 30 some minutes. I hope it's been of help, and consider just take one of these and start trying to apply it. Because until you control your finances, you cannot control your life. And that's what we both want for you, is a life that is not overburdened with financial debt. It can be so stressful. And so that's a way that you empower yourself. You don't have to have a lot, but you have to manage wisely what you do have. Right, Peter?
Absolutely. Be content with what you have.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a great scripture verse for that too. Thank you, Peter Letzmann, for being with me tonight.
You're welcome.
And with that, we will just hope that you have picked up something of benefit here. And I'll be back with you next Friday night, Lord willing. And my name is Kathy Beatty with Divorce Support Anonymous, walking with you every step of the way through divorce and after divorce. Have a good evening.